Okay, last. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, energy efficiency in terms of energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. How to solve it? For instance, use LED bulbs or energy saving bulbs. Active design features by adopting renewable energy generating technologies. For instance, PV photovoltaic systems that convert sunlight into energy. Now, I wanted to put in a slide on this, actually not slide, a discussion on this PV system that convert sunlight into energy, active design features. No time, I didn't put it in at all. But okay, there is a concept of zero energy housing. Okay, zero energy housing whereby, okay, the concept is like this. Okay, the house installs a PV system, apa tu, photovoltaic, the solar punya tu kan, the panel also on the roof. Okay, they generate electricity during the day. Okay, the electricity generated will be apa nama tu, will be kept in a battery. The battery will be apa nama tu, and some of the electricity will be used throughout the day lah. The extra will be stored in the battery. Okay, so the battery at night. Okay, the house will be lighted. Apa dah, the lighting ke, the electrical items ke will be using electricity from the battery. Okay, so zero energy. Okay, so because the electricity is obtained from the sunlight. Okay, the converted sunlight into electricity. Okay, not only that, but in Japan they allow the extra. So anything that the house doesn't use or anything that cannot be stored, the extra can be relayed, can be apa nama tu, can be transmitted into the system, into the grid, into the local electric grid. Okay, they sell. Lagi they can obtain money tau. They can generate income from the electricity that they generate on the roof. That is very good. In Malaysia, it's not allowed because we have the akta tu. Pity kan in Malaysia because we have a lot of sunlight. Anyway, water efficiency in terms of efficient water usage and minimum pollution to safely return water to the environment. Okay, water efficiency. So efficient water usage. So you have the half flush toilets. You have the water harvesting, rainwater harvesting punya features. You have the what else? Water harvesting. Something that that I propose to do in the class before lah, the eco home by Simon Darby tu. Simon Darby, they use a very interesting apa nama tu, water, what's the word, water cooling system of the house. They don't need air conditioning. So they did rainwater harvesting. Okay, whatever the water that they collected is being pumped throughout the house, not using a pump, but it's using gravity, and then it mengalir, it will be apa nama tu, circulated around the house. It will cool the house down. Okay, but it's only a prototype lah. Otherwise, it will be good to go there and visit. Anyway, safely return water to the environment in the sense that there's no pollutants introduced to the water that we use. They can safely recycle back to the environment. Building maintenance, where design and material of building can increase longevity of building and reduce life cycle costs. Yes, design, material, okay. Cheap materials from the construction, okay, can reduce the cost of building, but later on, okay, can increase the maintenance and management, and also can reduce the age, the life of the building, can reduce the life of the building. Urban consolidation by planning for a more compact, mixed use and higher density development. Okay, more this one they call it new urbanism, new urbanism. What's the word? Dense. Complexity. Have you heard of complexity? Whereby you can do everything within a certain radius from your place of living. That's where you can go. It's easy for you to go to work, for entertainment, for socializing, to play and things like that. Okay, a green design and construction can reduce up to 33% of energy consumption and 30% water consumption, which is a lot. 1/3 of energy consumption and water consumption. If we put these green design and construction elements in the building. One, choosing sites in proximity to schools, public transport, and other needs for more walkable communities. That's one can reduce the energy consumption or water consumption. Okay, whereby the sites are near to where your kids are going to school, or where the MRT station is. Building structures within town centers or cities with existing infrastructure. Okay, not building outside the city limits, not in the suburban areas, in the greenfield areas. So whatever that already has the infrastructure, the road networks, the what they call the cables, the piping, the electricity punya cables, the internet cables, the pipes, sewage pipes, the water pipes. Okay, whereby you don't have to increase the what they call the piping, the cabling, the cables. Designing units and outdoor spaces with passive design strategies in mind to reduce energy needs naturally. Okay, passive design strategies. I think all of us know about this, right? For instance, design units with passive design strategies. Have you been, no, I don't think I've read this. Okay, after this, maybe you can have a look at REHDA, REHDA building. Okay, just Google it, and you can see a lot of interesting passive design features that they use in the REHDA building. REHDA. They use, for instance, what do you call that? Slits, wooden slits. Wooden slits. Di macam roofs, windows. Okay, windows. Normally you have fixed pane or adjustable glass roofs, kan? So these people, okay, very good design. Okay, they use wooden roofs that can be adjusted, open or close to allow wind to come in and cool the building, or shut off to to prevent hot air from coming in or whatever lah. Also the sighting, the orientation of the building, whereby they catch a certain air flow that they capture to cool off the building. REHDA. Make sure you check it out after this. Good one. Utilizing LEED and Energy Star checklist to decrease energy consumption. Okay, this one is using standards that have been prepared by the agencies. This is something that can guide you in energy consumption. Selecting durable fixtures, equipment, hardware, and finishes that are easy to repair. And for existing houses, the main strategy is retrofitting green or environmentally friendly features. Okay. So institutional, the last one, the institutional perspective. In most cases, the government adopts the enabling approach. So the role of the government here, institutional means the different actors, institutional perspective, the organizations, the organizational view. Okay, government is more enabling in terms of housing supply, in aspects of housing supply that they can control. For instance, the regulatory framework, the land supply, the finance side, infrastructure, the construction industry or labor and building materials, while on the other side, the private sector focuses on producing. Okay? Increasingly, Some countries also encourage the participation of non-government, not-for-profit organizations. So this one, especially in Australia. Not just that, but also in the US. I remember now, in the US, they have what is called the stewardship, stewardship dipanggil, stewardship tu dia macam stewardship is like uh, a concept that makes that organization act as a guardian. Dia jadi guardian saja kepada housing. They ensure that housing is provided, is adequate. Who? Not for profit, non-profit organizations ni, not the government, not the private sector, but these not for profit organization. The Ford Foundation, for instance, they are very active in providing housing for low-income groups. Okay, affordable housing for low-income groups. Okay, Ford Foundation. Ford is from the Ford lah, the Ford. What call it? For the car. They have this as well. For Ford Foundation, one arm of the Ford Foundation is housing. Coordination at local, national, and international levels. Okay, so coordination at these levels by these actors, the government side, the private sector side, and the non-government, not-for-profit organizations. Okay, so international. So now we go to the last part, the international practices in the sustainable affordable housing. So the first one is incorporate the principles of sustainable development into planning and design processes. So we have, for instance, in the UK, okay, UK by design. This one is a government policy document. UK is by design, better places to live. So this is a government document, promoted affordable and sustainable housing by design. In Australia, the South Australia's Good Residential Design, SA South Australia, a resource for planning, designing, and developing neighborhoods and homes. So these guides or these guidelines, okay, provide the necessary information or ideas for affordable housing developers on how to ensure that the housing is sustainable and affordable at the same time. Okay, the next one is develop indicators and methodologies to assess the sustainability performance of buildings, normally with prototypes. So normally they use prototypes to come up with indicators and methods to say that, okay, this type is very sustainable, this type is not so sustainable. Normally they aim for sustainable sustainable performance of buildings. Some indicators are these, and also this one, a lot of indicators. Okay. Sustainable cities, for instance, sustainable cities, they have 173 indicators. So you see here, this is nothing lah. You can see here, this is nothing. Okay, so sustainable housing here. Okay, zero waste during construction, use of recycled materials and waste products and design. So they will assign scores. Okay, 1 to 10, for instance. So in terms of zero waste during construction, how does this prototype fare? Okay, one maybe not really or very minimum. Okay, 10 is very good or excellent, kan? So they will score. Okay, so 1 is zero waste during construction. Then use of recycled materials and waste products and design for recycling in future. Minimum use of scarce resources and volatile compounds, poisons and pollutants. Low embodied energy, materials and processes. So example for this one, guys. If, for instance, the housing, the house prototype, the sustainable house prototype is built using something that has poison, for instance, asbestos. Okay, so it will bring down the mark for this particular indicator. Okay, instead of getting 10, so now it's 5, for instance. Low embodied energy, materials and processes, minimum disturbance of the land, including maximum excavation. So all these will be assigned marks. Okay, will be assigned marks. Okay, you can read on your own later on. Okay, all these items. Okay, but the important thing is, after all these indicators are scored, okay, they will come up with a number, with a total. So that will indicate the sustainable sustainable score for that particular prototype. Okay, and xeriscaping. Okay, xeriscaping. Slide two or three slides down will show you what is the xeriscaping for. I hope so. I hope I didn't. I deleted. Anyway, xeriscaping. Okay, landscaping with productive plants. Xeriscaping is when you use the species of plants that, for instance, do not need much watering. Cacti, or they use apa nama yang paling susah nak mati tu, aloe vera, kan? You don't need to water them so often. They consume less water, therefore they are more sustainable. But will they contribute to the housing scheme? Yes, in terms of beauty, one, aesthetics lah. In terms of better environmental quality, yes, they produce oxygen, for instance. Okay. Example of SAH, Sustainable Affordable Housing prototype. This one in where was it? I think this is in South America. I cannot remember the country. So this is just an example of a prototype of SAH whereby they use bottles, these plastic bottles, to construct the wall lah, to construct the building. This is where you can see where they where all this will be scored. All this will be scored. Just now remember this one. Remember the excavation minimum disturbance. So if they look at here, is there any disturbance to the land? Is it minimum excavation? I would say minimum excavation, not that deep. So maybe it was score 10. Okay? So you can see there. Okay, the columns are normal columns, but the wall. Okay, instead of using bricks, they use plastic bottles. Plastic bottles need to be recycled. They are non-biodegradable, right? So it takes a plastic bottle thousands of years to decompose. So instead of letting this become a problem, okay, they use this as an opportunity to construct a sustainable, affordable housing. Okay, but this is just a prototype, so small scale. So you can see that it's not a big house, but they just use this prototype to maybe capture some data, maybe temperature, air quality, things like that. Temperature, indoor air quality. So this is example of assessment just now. So the factors, okay, the prototype, these are the ideal. So this is the score. Okay, the ideal means the full mark. So for this particular house just now, okay, this particular house, you have all these indicators. Okay, it scored 105 out of 155. So in terms of sustainability performance, this is quite good. This is quite good. So after this, they can, if they want to pursue a larger scale, from this particular prototype. And rest. Okay, good. I have this. So and rest is more on the financial or the economic sustainability. Okay. Now and also social, because it gives an equal opportunity for low-income people to enjoy a good standard of living, a good quality of living. And rest, National Rental Affordability Scheme, tax offsets for private sector or grants for not-for-profit organizations to assist development or major refurbishment of rental dwellings. Only so they must own or use whatever arrangement, maybe long lease, they must own these rental dwellings in a block. Okay, social considerations, increased supply of rental dwellings. So NRES has been able to increase the supply of rental dwellings for low and moderate income households. And the social mix outcomes from part of the assessment criteria. Social mix is not just different income levels living together, but also different ethnicities, the social mix outcomes, even different target groups just now. The what do you call it, some quota for people with disabilities, some quota for the elderly, some quota for single parents, for instance. Social mix outcomes form part of the assessment criteria. Rent maintain at least 20% below market rent for 10 years. So you pay lower than market rent for at least 10 years. Tenancy may be up to 10 years. So in Malaysia, what is the maximum that we give for our social tenants? It's not 10 years, I don't think so. I don't know. Subject to ongoing eligibility up to 10 years. Financial considerations, attracting large-scale private investment in rental housing. So that's a good thing. Financial viability forms part of the assessment criteria. This one, financial viability. Now, either the private sector or the not-for-profit organizations, they must be financially sound. Okay, in terms of being able to provide adequate maintenance and management of the dwellings, because the rental is below the market rent. Okay, but the building or the dwelling units must be maintained, kan? So they must have enough finances to meet up any unexpected expenditures. Okay, unexpected capital expenditures or non-capital expenditures. Environmental considerations, okay, accessibility and sustainability outcomes form part of the assessment criteria. So accessibility in terms of people who are able to apply for the NRES, for instance, siapa yang boleh apply, what is the income cut-off point. Must not be too low because they want to include as many people as possible, but not that broad because they want to also provide a cap on who can apply for NRES. Sustainability, also the green aspect of the NRES as well. Challenges, this is when we come to the tutorial. I think we have time. So, wait, how do I stop share? Not stop share. Now, I'm just going to share this slide. Now, I had two ideas before, like I said. One is to comment on this, the challenges to sustainable, because after that there's no more slide. Oh God, conclusion. So I said here, conclusion, today's affordable housing projects need to be designed, tenanted and managed in ways that contribute not only to affordability but also promote the well-being, social inclusion, and ayalah, betul lah. So well-being, social, economic, and also environmentally sustainable. Now this one, the 6 points here, challenges to sustainable affordable housing. Okay, my idea before was, I said if I have enough time, we just do this discussion now instead of doing Padlet. Okay, so I think we have time. Okay, so maybe for 15 minutes, maybe we don't have to go until 12 o'clock. Anybody wants to comment on this, the challenges, the challenge number 1, for instance, perceived as a burden to government. Challenges, why is this seen, does SAH seen as a burden to government? Second one, difficulty for providers in obtaining private financing arrangement. Why is this so? Rate of climate change higher than housing innovation. So how? Do you have any examples? Have you read something before? Did you watch the video on the Canadian affordable housing that you can apply here? Can remember? Do you know that I put the video on the Canadian affordable house? I think so. I think most of you have looked at that. The challenge, I said here, balancing the 3 dimensions of sustainability. That is what I always find when the focus is more on the sustainable affordable housing, is on the 2 things, the environmental and also the economic side. Social side is sometimes overlooked. Institutional capacity, the problem. Why? In what way? Competition with other users. Anybody wants to comment? Anybody wants to comment now? Semua orang duduk diam. Okay. How? Do I want to call names? No idea, is it? Okay, macam ni lah. Siapa nak tambah? Whoever wants to add, please add after this. Small speaker. Okay, now. When I say that challenge is one of the challenges to sustainable affordable housing is when it's being looked at, it's being seen as a burden rather than a benefit, rather than an opportunity to the government. Okay? When it's being perceived as an expenditure. The construction needs expenditure, the maintenance need expenditure, the what else, repairs, all these things. Then it is seen as a burden to the government. Okay, if you look only at one side, which is money flowing out, then it will be seen as a burden. Okay, but when you look at sustainable affordable housing, okay, as something that gives an equal opportunity for the low-income people to live in an environment that is conducive to them, that is conducive to their children, to play, to school, to learn, to whatever. Then, okay, your perception that it's a financial burden has somewhat been reduced. Okay, at the same time, okay. Now the environmental aspect is being grossly neglected, right? Especially in the Malaysian context. Okay, in any low-cost housing or any affordable housing scheme, do we see things like passive design being implemented to reduce energy usage or energy costs? Not yet, I don't think so. It's more, what is the lowest cost to build this block of flats? What's the lowest construction cost for this? That's the main consideration, rather than what happens 5 years from now when there's too many people using the lifts and the lifts cannot bear, it overcomes the carrying capacity of the lifts. So what happens then? So if things are not looked into the future, if the situation is looked at short term, then of course it will become a burden to the government. Okay, difficulty for providers in obtaining private financing arrangement. Now, what is that difficulty for? Yeah, of course, especially for affordable housing. The providers means the developers of affordable housing. It's very rare to find the private sector to provide affordable housing. Okay, but in other countries, there are providers of sustainable affordable housing, and it's a problem for them to obtain private financing arrangements because of the fact that sometimes when they are asked to show the financial financial indicators, the IRR, the ROI, okay, those are quite low, right? It's below whatever can be obtained in a conventional development. So they are not able to convince the financial institutions. Okay. Then what else? Rate of climate change higher than housing innovation. What kind of housing innovations that we have in Malaysia now? The last time that we talked about innovation was the BIMS lah, BIMS, Building Information Management. Okay, using modular housing. Okay, modular housing to speed up the housing construction process, kan? Modular housing whereby you manufacture in factories, parts, and then you go on site and then you assemble, kan? Macam Lego. We have that technology, okay? But then one is not being used. The modular housing is not being used. Two, is that all? Okay, what happens then? The modular housing, the BIM, the technology has not evolved. over the years, at least not as quickly as the rate of climate change. Okay, whereby now you have things like rising sea levels, or you have the urban heat island problem, the increase in temperature within city centers, kan? So higher than housing innovations. The example of the Sandabi Eco Home that I mentioned to you just now, that prototype, tinggal prototype. It has never been implemented in a wider scale in Sandabi's projects. So it's a good prototype, but it becomes what do you call it, a display project now, a display to show people what they can do, but they don't do. Anyway, but it's a good good prototype. That's why I wanted to take you there to see, but no thanks to COVID lah. We're not able to go and visit the site. Anyway, what else? Balancing the 3 dimension, like I said just now. Okay, the triple bottom line. Okay, if you can imagine a stool, kan? A 3-legged stool. Okay, ada 3 legs to the stool tu bangku. Environment, economy, social. The 3 legs must be equal for the stool to be stable. If one leg is shorter than the other, the stool will be unstable. You will fall when you sit on it. Okay? But in most cases, okay, it's very hard to balance the 3 dimensions of sustainability. When you want to increase the environmental aspects of the housing, sometimes you have to sacrifice the cost. Right? The economic side, you have to pay more. So the stool is not being balanced now. Okay, social. Okay, when you want to increase in the environmental aspect just now, passive design, green designs, whatever. Okay, the price has to be increased to reflect the cost of of the green design. Okay, then more people will not be able to access the affordable housing. Okay, institutional capacity. Okay, for instance, in terms of our government, okay, limited manpower, for instance, to undertake to do campaigns or to do these talks at sustainable, at affordable housing punya sites, to enhance the sense of place tadi tu, to create the community creation tu, the community participation, community engagement are not able to be done properly because of the fact that maybe lack of manpower, maybe lack of budget. Institutional capacity is not there yet. Okay? Competition with other land users. When land is scarce, when land supply is limited in the urban areas, the housing users have to compete with other users, the office, the retail, the industrial just now, and housing even with other users in itself. Okay, the high-end punya housing, for instance, so they have to compete with so many other land users, and sometimes they lose out because of the fact that there's no profit, or there is lack of profit in their use. Okay, I think that's all. Now, last time, can we have a photo session now? Photo. Okay, very quickly. Do you have any questions? No questions? No. Is there any architects here? Do you have any architect here? No, not this time. Okay, what about others? Camera broken, is it? Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more people. Can, come on lah. Amanda, Lau. Okay lah. Dia malu, shy. Okay, everybody, smile. Okay, wait. I will post this. Attendance. Oh, this is such a pain. What to do? Anyway, now, how many minutes do I have? 2 more minutes, 3 minutes. Okay, after this, maybe whoever is shy just now, okay, shy lah sangat. Shy, you can go and put your thoughts on Padlet. I don't know why, but the undergraduates seem to like this, but not you guys. The undergraduate against the postgrads. Where's my Padlet? Desktop, sustainable, screen mana? This one. Ya bukan. This one. Share.
I think it's a lack of time to participate in the Padlet is one thing lah, Doctor, because it's now and then up to evening we also have class and then petang,
like this,
you know.
Faham. Okay, now regarding the Padlet, I don't have any Padlet now. I thought I prepared a reflection building law, not this one. Okay. Now it's like this. Padlet, you don't have to write a lot. No. I don't intend it to be like that. No. Okay. So, this one. Can you see my Padlet now?
Loading.
Discussion, this one. This one. Okay, whatever you want to write, totally free. Okay, you can write 50 words, you can write 20 words, you can write point form. Okay, you can write, can you see this? Yeah. Discussion on challenges to SAH, can? So anything you want to write, like I said before, it's not compulsory, but it's good lah. It's good to share, it's good to have a discussion, okay? Not just the lecturer talking alone in class, because I want to know that you get the points, okay? So these are the challenges. You may write on one, you may write on all, but it all depends on you. Whatever you feel that you have something to talk to contribute in terms of these 6 problems to sustainable, affordable housing, okay? Just write here, okay? Add comment. Okay, I think that's all. Everybody have a good rest. I'll see you next week before Raya kan? So no Raya wish yet. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
Welcome.
Yeah.